The Speaker said, and the Senate leader, why now? What happened now? Why not 1999? That is the question. To me, I hear it, why did it take so long? But I think it wasn't just about Mr. Floyd's death. I think it was the cumulative impact. I think all the names on that list did not die in vain. I think it took that repeated articulation to get the country to this point. Reverend Sharpton, on every one of those situations, was out there making this point all over the country, all over the country. And finally, the country heard. But the reason we're here today, make no mistake, is because Reverend Sharpton and good people across this country were out there making the point every time, over and over and over again. So Eric Garner did not die in vain. Sean Bell did not die in vain. It took a number of lives, unfortunately. It took a number of injustices, unfortunately. But each one was a part in getting to today. And it was Reverend Sharpton standing up and making sure the people of this nation heard every time every injustice happened. And that Reverend, is a special ability, a special contribution. And you have been there year after year after year, and we all respect your effort. We thank you for what you've done. We thank you for your voice, which the nation has heard, this state has heard, and not only did we hear you, we're going to make a difference, and this state is going to make a difference, and I believe it's going to be a difference that's going to resonate all across the nation. Because what we're doing here, making every police agency come to the table with the community, that should be done in every police agency in this country. Together, we'll make it happen. Reverend Sharpton.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you to the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader. Let me first say this is a great day for advocates. And though I appreciate the Speaker's words, but as I stood on many of these marches and protests, there were many that will never sit next to the governor that marched, many that will never have their names called. And it's a great day for them, advocacy groups that are not as known as National Action Network, but advocated anyway. So I sit here for them as well. Some of us may not even get along, but it's a victory for all of us. And we must monitor to make sure that it's done. I'm glad that Hazel Dukes is here, who is going to jail with me in some of the protests around this issue. And I'm most glad for the mothers who, no matter what we do, will always have an empty seat at the family dinner table and the holidays. I talk to the mothers every holiday. I spoke at Ramali Graham's funeral. I did the eulogy. I did the eulogy at Gwen Carr's son's funeral, Eric Garner. I spoke at Sean Bell's funeral, as I did this week at George Floyd's funeral. So I've gotten to know their pain. I don't just lead the protest, but I work with the families. And it is not an issue to them. And I'm glad that we see what we see. I joined the civil rights movement as a teenager. I grew up a boy preacher in Brooklyn. When I was 13, I became part of Dr. King's branch here. We were told you start with demonstration to lead to legislation, then reconciliation. Without the legislation, the demonstration is just an exercise. We work out every morning, the governor and I. This is not exercise. It is to change things. And by signing these bills is bringing about the change. What made Dr. King's movement effective was there was a John Kennedy or Lyndon Johnson or Hubert Humphrey that legislature is doing today. And what this Assembly Speaker and this Majority Leader in the Senate is doing is legislating what we demonstrated about. We will monitor it and make sure that it is enforced, but we had nothing to enforce, which is why we had to keep going. These bills mean some substantive change so that we won't be sitting here going over this after the next funeral and after the next situation. Let me also say, though, about this governor, to give the executive order that he has given, let us be very clear. There's no governor in this country that has said what he said this morning. And he and I debate sometime, but he has, in many ways, done things that even I did not expect. To say that every mayor must come up with a plan along these areas, or they would withhold state money, is a model for where we ought to be dealing with 21st century civil rights in this country. Make no mistake, this is a new level that all other 49 governors ought to look at, because to say that I want to see mayors deal with this and I want to see city councils deal with this is one thing, but to say we're going to hold funds means that he means it. I'm not surprised, because let me explain, even though he and I have debated on different things throughout the years, 20 years ago, when I called a march in Washington on the anniversary of the March on Washington, and Mrs. Coretta Scott King presided over that march, the widow of Martin Luther King, the only member of President Clinton's cabinet that would come to the march was Andrew Cuomo. And he stood with me when I was much fatter and much more controversial. Don't laugh, Andrew, we're on television. So he has stood with us when it was not politically wise to stand with us. As Martin III and I are doing a march this August 28th, Andrew Cuomo and I and Andrew have talked, and Martin Luther King III has come here for Andrew. He has been on these issues when he was Attorney General, when he was a cabinet member, and now is governor. But he has raised the bar on how we deal with policing with this executive order. So I was very happy to come to be part of watching him sign these laws that these mothers and these advocates and many further to the left than me would appreciate. But I am beyond happy to be here when I heard the executive order, because now not only have we made an announcement, Andrew Cuomo has raised the bar. And I hope every governor in this country will be asked today whether or not they're going to do what he just did. Somebody has to raise the bar. Then we can say to the Floyd family and others that you really have seen a new day and we've turned a new way in this country. And I think that he has done that. And Andrew Cuomo knows that when I don't think he did whatever, I will tell him he has gone beyond even my expectations. So enjoy these few minutes. But I think this is a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you so much. And really, you're right. We do go back a long time. But I tell you, my friend, today is because of you and your activism and all those years. And finally, the people of this nation heard. So God bless you. I'm going to sign the bill in this new socially distant Congratulations, the bills are signed.
Yeah.
There you go, brother. Thank you. Okay,
Proud
Mama.
day, son.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Everyone got one? Let's give them a round of applause.
Can I say something? Ms. Bell want to say something.
We want a minute. We want to say something for a
It's
minute.
okay?
Please, go ahead.
Come on. Okay, I'm sorry. to give honor to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's why I'm able to stand here today.
She's speaking, go ahead.
Ms. Bell. Thank you. All the honor and glory goes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I want to thank Governor Cuomo for what he has done, not only for me and Ms. Carr, but for all the mothers and the allies who represent us doing the work that needs to be done. We wrote a vision, we had the voice, and the victory is won. So our allies, Justice Committee, CPR, and all others who stood with us, I want to thank you all and continue the work that you've been doing to make this a better place. Thank you so much.
God bless. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.